Howdy, guys, and welcome to a recap of the overnight feeds from night number 9 inside the Big Brother 24 house. Wow, what an incredible 24 hours that we just got through, especially considering that the feeds were down for the majority of that time. Doesn't mean there wasn't all kinds of stuff happening. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Now, first of all, we had heard the rumors all day yesterday, Thursday, eviction day, or so we thought. We'd heard the rumors that Paloma was no longer in the game, but we didn't know for certain until the live episode last night when Julie Chen confirmed that yes, Paloma has left the game for personal reasons. Now, we don't know, and we probably never will, whether she chose to self-evict or whether the producers pulled her from the game. It doesn't really matter. It was becoming obvious over the last couple of days that Paloma was having some difficulties in the house. Some of the other house guests had mentioned it. Us viewers certainly had seen it as well. So Paloma was pulled from the game. I'll just say this. I hope Paloma gets the support and the assistance from family, from friends, from fans, from everyone. I hope she gets the support she needs to readjust to normal life outside the Big Brother house. I think she was playing too hard to last too long in the game. I think she would have burned out rather quickly. But she might have been a really memorable villain. And here's the thing. In the game of Big Brother, you need heroes and you need villains for our entertainment. And Paloma was playing there were some moments were a little cringy watching some of the conversations and everything else, but Paloma could have been a legendary villain. My own personal opinion. I hope that Paloma gets the help that she needs. All right, now how does that affect the rest of the game? First, the viewers, not the house guests, we learned that America voted to save Brittany as part of this backstage pass, and that she would have been safe if the game had proceeded, the twist had been proceeded as had been planned. We also learned that the nominee who was voted out, I think it would have been Taylor. The nominee who was voted out would have then battled one of the remaining 2 house guests, either Alyssa or Paloma. And I think it sounds like Pooch would have chosen one of them. I kind of think he would have chosen Paloma. Just my thoughts. But in that scenario, you would have had Taylor going against Paloma. They would have battled in some type of competition. The loser would have gone home. The winner would have remained in the house. But that's all thrown out the window because of Paloma's earlier departure. So now what? Well, Julie reveals that because there were basically 5 people at risk last night, the 2 nominees plus the 3 backstage VIP girls, because one of those 5 people ended up leaving the house for different reasons, but because one of those 5 people left the house, the backstage twist is over and no one is getting sent home. No one is getting voted out of the house last night. I am very okay with that. I don't have any huge issues. It keeps a timeline going in terms of an 82-game season, and when people are going to get evicted, they don't start off the season with one person short. And here's the biggest reason, bigger reason that I'm really happy to see that. Seeing the joy on Terrence's face, but especially seeing the joy on Taylor's face when she knew that she was safe, was fantastic. But remember, I was banished on day number 1 of my season. I know what it is like to think that your game may be coming to an end before you ever even feel like you've gotten a fair chance to show who you are and to compete and everything else. I know what that feeling is like. And we had seen it with Taylor as well. She thought she was very easily going home. For her to find out that she was safe, that she gets one more week, and maybe it's just one more week, but for her to get one more week, the smile on her face, I'm all for it. I was happy to see it. I'm okay with the way this thing played out. I absolutely am. Now, a few thoughts with regards to the changes and how everything worked out. First, Brittany won America's vote. I wish that the house guests had been told that Brittany had won this thing, that America had voted to save her. We as viewers, we as voters spent all that time voting, and I think we deserve to have some influence in that house. And knowing that she had won, and the other house guests knowing that she had won, that would have been influence in the house. It would have given Brittany a shot of self-confidence. It would have made the other house guests a little bit nervous about potentially targeting Brittany if they think that Brittany is behind her. It could have changed the game on a lot of different subtle levels. I wish they told everyone that Brittany won, but they didn't. It doesn't appear. I think that's unfortunate. Now, the fact that we lost Paloma, but we didn't lose anyone else last night, who does that hurt the most that's remaining in this house? I think it's got to be Daniel, right? He ended up putting not 2, but 3 people up on the block last week, and no one went home. So now, here's the thing. There was no guarantee that any one of those 3 were going to go home anyway because of the backstage twist. So is he hurt more so than if Paloma had stayed and maybe she had gone home anyway? Not necessarily, but certainly Daniel's HOH didn't quite go the way he wanted it to go. He's got 3 people now who very well could be targeting Daniel when they get the chance. So rough for Daniel. But again, I'm all for the way this thing all played out. So on to the HOH competition that we saw taking place, the first half taking place live. 14 house guests competing. Daniel's not competing, outgoing HOH. 14 people competing. They compete 2 at a time. So 7 heats, 7 rounds. It's a floor is lava type game. You can see the background right here. The house guests having to run across some little pylon things, across a keyboard, finally some guitars that spin around and make it to the stage first. So 7 winners of those 7 rounds. Those 7 winners then advance to the second round to actually compete for HOH. The 7 people who didn't win, their dreams of being HOH in week number 2 are out the door. Now here's a little trivia. No one who has won the second week of HOH has ever gone on to finish the game. So do you want to win the second HOH? I still think you got for it, but just a little trivia for you there. Now, some thoughts on what we saw with, and this was all live, which is a little intense. A lot of rounds to be played to fit it all in time for the round, and they almost didn't make it by the end of the broadcast. But a few thoughts on the competition that we did see live before they cut away. First of all, Michael and then Taylor, especially Taylor, man, they flew through this competition. Other people a little cautious, making sure they didn't fall. Michael and Taylor, they went through, no hesitation, making some big jumps, doing they were going full speed. And they certainly were the cream of the crop in terms of just brilliant play. So they're 2 of the 7 finishers, did a fantastic job. Jasmine won her competition. A little bit of controversy whether her foot touched the ground or not while she was over here on the wall, but they ruled it didn't. Jasmine won her competition, and then in the process of stepping off the platform here, fell into this kind of spongy material and rolled her ankle. I rolled it pretty bad, in fact. So she's got a little injury going on. And then what was the other one I was going to say? All right, here's the last comment I've got. I think the last round, if I recall, was Monty and Nicole. I think they were both trying to throw the competition. I think both of them are better than they displayed. They both fell off a few times, touched the ground, had to start over. I don't think either one of them wanted to win. Eventually, Monty, I guess he said, whatever. So Monty eventually won over Nicole. I don't think either one wanted it. So that's it for the end of the actual broadcast itself. We then were faced with a long period of those animals on the live feeds, the shelter puppies and kittens, waiting for live feeds to come back, desperate to find out who's going to win this HOH among the 7 who are still left to play. And let's see, before we talk about that, because I know that's what a lot of people are waiting for, but before I talk about that, let's talk about this obstacle course. I think the way it would have worked if Paloma hadn't been pulled from the game, this would have been the competition that likely would have taken place between Paloma and Taylor. The person voted out, the person picked by Pooch, head to head, the loser goes home. And again, I think that would have been Taylor. I think it would have been Paloma. Taylor would have dominated over Paloma, I think, in this competition. As quick as she was, I'm not sure that we would have seen results any different than we actually ended up with. I think Paloma still would have gone home if she hadn't gotten pulled early. Now, in a way, I'm glad Taylor's safe, but in a way, I like to see people with their golden redeeming moment. I'm glad she's safe, but it would have been a little bit of karma involved for Taylor to be able to come in win this thing over Paloma and actually stay alive in the house, not by default, but because she won a competition. I did that with the battle back, and it would have been cool to see Taylor get as well. But I'm sure Taylor's saying, hey, whatever it takes for me to stay safe, I'm cool with. But I think that this would have been the first half of the competition. Now, the other thing, Julie mentioned in an interview, I think it was with Sharon Tharp of US Weekly, she mentioned this new twist called Besties, where apparently somehow everyone's going to be tagged up as duos. I think if this first part of the competition had decided who went home, you would have then had 14 people left. Somehow they would have been tied up into duos. And of those duos, one of the two would have then competed for the HOH, I think. So I think we may see the delay of this Besties twist by maybe 2 weeks, because you've got odd numbers next week. I don't know, but I think we may have seen the introduction of this Besties if everything had gone as planned. Didn't work out. I'm all right. We'll find out that twist a little bit later. All right. So with that being said, who won HOH? We did finally find out who the winner was. Took a little nap. Big Brother shelter kitten music in the background. As soon as that music cut away, man, I was up and I was watching. It's like, where's Waldo? Trying to find out who's wearing that key. So what do we find? This is about 2 o'clock, 2:30 Big Brother time. The HOH competition appeared to have just ended. Everyone was just coming in. They were in the living room. What do we see? We see house guests wearing overalls, country clothes, covered in colored goop, colored paint everywhere. We see Jasmine on crutches. Apparently her injury was enough and we see later in the evening, she's walking around on crutches. She's got a brace, a boot of some sort on her foot. I hope we don't have another Christmas Abbott type situation. We'll see. But Jasmine is definitely on crutches, and I'm desperately looking to see who's got a little key around their neck representing HOH. Finally find it. The HOH winner this week is Jasmine. Yeah, Jasmine won the competition, injury and all. Apparently the competition involves scooping pieces, maybe it sounds like maybe letters out of pies, some kind of pseudo pie eating competition, trying to scoop these things out of these pies with all kinds of goop and everything. You couldn't use your hands, had to use your mouth to do it. Some kind of country fair setting. Taylor later said that it was just perfectly designed for someone for sitting down. So apparently Jasmine was not affected by her ankle injury. Taylor also says it was very random. There wasn't a lot of skill involved. I don't know if it involves who pulled what piece or what, but Taylor feels like it was just kind of one of those random competitions we get sometimes, and it just happened to be Jasmine who won this. Now, a couple of things that happened overnight. It was already late, already 4 o'clock here in Houston area, so turned into a late evening. In fact, as I tape this at 7 o'clock or so my time, these house guests are all still up. Not all. Some of these house guests are still up. But a few things that we did learn after the competition once the feeds were back. We learned that just like I think last season, the have-nots are responsible for picking the new have-nots going forward. So each have-not had to pick someone else. Last week, everyone was pretty quick to volunteer. Not so much this week. I think they saw what slop is like and what really is involved in sleeping upstairs and all that. But we did kind of get reluctant volunteers. I think all four eventually were very reluctant volunteers. But the new have-nots we have for this week are Pooch, Terrence, Nicole, and Daniel. Daniel was the last one picked. He did not want to do it. He had already said throughout the week he didn't want to get picked. He wanted to be downstairs instead of having to sleep upstairs for another week. But he eventually gave in, said, I'll do it. So that's who we've got. Terrence, Pooch, Nicole, and Daniel are going to be the have-nots for the week. Cold showers, slop, sleeping upstairs on those floats, etc. Now, strategy, game talk, because we certainly had some of that. Doesn't matter what time of night it is, we have some of that. Pooch kind of taking a lead, it seems like, in being very aggressive and making plans and everything. You would think Pooch was the HOH the way he started off talking last night. Pooch is almost instantly talking to different house guests one at a time. He starts off with Alyssa. Later, I see Joseph. Later, I see Amira about going for Taylor and Brittany. Seems like those are his two big choices. And he's talking a lot about not even nominating Taylor for the original nominee, but just backdooring her instead. I think everyone saw how she competed in that HOH competition, and they're a little hesitant, a little worried about that. So he's saying, yeah, let's just backdoor Taylor at this point in time. It sounds like Pooch is even offering or considering offering himself up as a pawn because he knows Jasmine's injured. If Brittany's the other nominee on the block, he thinks he can easily beat both Brittany and Jasmine in a veto competition. And so he thinks that his chances of winning a veto, pulling himself off and giving the opportunity to backdoor Taylor is very good. So it sounds like he may be considering that. All I got to say is that not all veto competitions are the same, Pooch. And no matter how much you think you can beat everyone in that house, there's some veto competitions that's just not going to be the case, my friend. So be careful what you wish for. But he's talking about it at least. Later, Monty, I think they're in the bathroom. Monty tells Amira, says, "Hey, Pooch volunteered. Good, all right, good talk." But yeah, Pooch volunteered. So be careful what you wish for Pooch, because I'm not convinced that everyone in this house necessarily is as gung-ho to get Taylor out as maybe go straight for Pooch this week as well. His game's more at risk than he thinks. All right. Jasmine also does mention that she's going to be targeting Taylor this week. She mentions later in the evening that she's planning to backdoor Jasmine. So Taylor definitely has her work cut out this week. She's alive. She's got another week, but she's got some work to do. All right. Taylor told Daniel in the storage room, they were talking a little bit. She says that she doesn't think Jasmine will put her up. She's wrong. Jasmine's planning to put her up. It's going to be tough, especially if she backdoors Taylor. When Taylor's name isn't mentioned at the nom ceremony, she's going to think that she's good. And then if she is backdoored for a second week, it's going to be tough. That's going to be tough to handle. All right, we've also got Nicole and Daniel talking in the storage room. Remember, the Rogue Rats, these two are final two alliance. Daniel has revealed to Nicole the existence of this men's alliance, and he gives her the name, the Oasis, talks about that. I think he does that in return for Nicole mentioning this Mambo alliance. Apparently, Nicole is now a member of the Mambo alliance. Paloma was part of this group. Once she got booted, I guess they approached her and said, "You're our new sixth member." So the Mambo alliance is now Nicole as the newest member, Alyssa, Amira, Monty, Kyle, and Michael. I don't think Nicole feels real comfortable in this alliance, but you don't say no. Michael has already said he's not real comfortable being in this alliance either, but he seems willing to play and see if this goes anywhere. So we've got a new alliance that Nicole is now part of. Daniel's a little bit worried that there's this group of six that he's not part of, but Nicole's saying, "Yeah, let's see how this plays out. It may not be as bad as you think." All right, later we've got Alyssa and Kyle talking, and Alyssa is saying, "Look, I don't completely trust Nicole." This is about the Mambo alliance. She's saying, "I don't really trust Nicole necessarily." Apparently, Monty's the one who suggested bringing Nicole in to replace Paloma. But Alyssa and Kyle are both agreeing that, look, when it comes time to pick people off from within this alliance, Nicole's the first to go. We're getting rid of her first. Sounds like the pecking order. Nicole goes first, Michael goes next, and then you got the core four after that. Kyle is suggesting as well that maybe Pooch and Turner need to go before we go after any more women. He says the women are easy targets. Why mess with them right now? Let's get Pooch and Turner out, and then we'll go after a couple of the women, such as Taylor and Brittany. So as I said before, Pooch's game isn't as solid as he may be thinking is. His name has certainly come up throughout the evening. We've got Jasmine telling Alyssa and Joseph that she should talk to people tonight. She's not necessarily going to tell people, "Come talk to me," but she's going to wait for them to talk to her. But Joseph, and then later Brittany, the super fan, both of them are saying, "Yeah, nominations are in 2 days. Yeah, you got some time if you want to." I'm not convinced that's the case. Now, it is a late night. They're up. I don't know that you'll have nominations at 8 in the morning or anything like that, but I fully expect nominations to take place at some point Friday so they can have the veto competition on Saturday. When I won my HOH during my season, I didn't get my HOH room until 1 o'clock or so in the morning. We still had nominations at like 9 o'clock the next morning. So I think these people telling Jasmine that she's got 2 days to consider her picks are wrong. Jasmine better have her ideas, her thoughts lined up as soon as that sun comes up, just in case. All right, we've got Jasmine telling Monty and Joseph that she wants to backdoor Taylor. Again, that's been mentioned once or twice. Taylor is definitely Jasmine's target this week. Later, we've got Brittany telling Michael that Jasmine wants Taylor gone, passing on the word of what Jasmine said. Again, Brittany already got burned a little bit, telling Pooch some of what the girls have told him. She's telling Michael as well, so she better be careful. But but they're a duo. And she does tell Michael that Jasmine wants Taylor gone. Michael is responding saying, look, I think Taylor, if she got a chance, I think she'd take a shot at some of the big players. I actually think she may be a good asset for us if we can hold on to her. She'll go after some of those guys or something. So do we want Taylor gone? I don't think it's going to be as cut and dried this week as maybe we thought it was going to be last week. We'll find out. It's going to be a fun week. All right, later we've got, let's say 4 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. The HOH room eventually opens up. Everyone goes up there. I think Monty carried Jasmine up there because, again, she's on crutches, but she got a letter from her husband. Her music is by Beyonce. That's that right? Letter from husband, music by Beyonce, and everyone's great and everything. But eventually, the guys take off. There's a huge group of the girls that stay in that room after everyone has left, seeing the HOH room. And eventually, with the girls all upstairs hanging around, including Taylor, there's mention made. I think it's made by Indy. She's saying, "I want Pooch gone. He's bothering all of us. I just want him gone." And I think Amira and some of the other girls, they all kind of confirm that. They all say, "Yeah, we all want Pooch gone. Let's see." So again, that's with Taylor in the room, and we'll see if that truly is the case. But I certainly think in terms of targets this week, I think Taylor, I think Brittany, and I think Pooch. I think those 3 in some combination. I don't know who the nominations are, who the potential renoms are. I almost think at this point in time that you could have Jasmine putting up Brittany and Pooch and telling each of them they're a pawn, and the actual target being Taylor. We'll see. We'll find out more as this gets hashed out, but that takes place. Finally, I mentioned that at 5 o'clock Big Brother time, 7 o'clock Houston time, there's still house guests up talking upstairs and everything else. I had to call it at some point in time. So there you have it, guys. Yeah, what an amazing 24 hours. But the key, Jasmine is now HOH. Paloma's out of the house. Let the games continue. Guys, y'all have a fantastic end of the week Friday. I think we're going to get nominations today, which means that tomorrow morning we'll know who's on the block. We'll see what kind of pitching and campaigning takes place and as we prepare for the veto competition. Till then, guys, have a great Friday. SKD 443. Cheers, my friends. Bye.